All right, welcome to another edition of the Blunt Force Conservative. I'm Chris Hinkle, your Blunt Force Conservative. I am a husband, a father, and now grandfather. And today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to cleanse the palate of politics today and talk sports. Right now, I am sharing it to as many people as I can, even my guest. So today we're just going to talk football, and I've got some great guests, some knowledgeable individuals, some guys that I spend a lot of time talking to, especially about sports, but sometimes about politics. And that is the producer of this show, Mr. Chris Allen. He is my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister Taffy. And we have a special guest picker, not Nate Bargatze, not not anybody associated with with the team that's the opponent of Alabama, which seems to be what happens on ESPN. But my brother Kevin Hinkle. I've talked about him a number of times on here and about our conversation. So let's bring him in, Mr. Producer. There they are. Say hello, guys.
Morning.
Hello, guys.
Kevin looks like
Uh,
he's a little chilly.
it is a little. What's the temperature in Tuscaloosa?
That's a great
51,
question.
I would guess. Feels like 49 to 51.
I got 42. If the phone is right. All right. So let's talk first Alabama football. Alabama is ranked number 4 in the nation right now. I would say, what do you think that the committee is going to do based on body of work, strength of schedule, strength of record, all of that? Because they have to look at today, looking back. Do you think Alabama moves up in the first college football playoff rankings, which I think comes out Tuesday? Kevin?
Me personally, I think Alabama stays about where they are. Those first college football rankings, they tend to stay with what's out there. There's a little ESPN bias when it comes to Alabama and the SEC right now. But based on what's out there, Alabama has the best strength of schedule and wins thus far. And for the rest of the teams, we really don't know because they haven't played anybody as much as we've played people, but then it's based on the rankings as they exist. So it was like I said about the Florida State game. It didn't matter. And the first rankings, they don't matter. It matters where you finish. But I expect Bama to be number 4.
What about you, Chris? Any
Yeah, I'm with
changes?
Kevin. I'm with Kevin there. I think as far as the rankings are concerned, it doesn't much matter where we start. It matters where we finish. I think, they'd be hard pressed to put Alabama above a no loss team to begin with, just because our loss is kind of a bad loss. But it doesn't matter to me. I don't care as long as we're in there. I think we have a shot.
Yeah, I think it'll all end up working out. I think 4 is about where they'll put them. I'm not a big fan of the preseason rankings and the way things start off with AP and coaches. I think it's done for just clicks and media and all of that. And you could probably go back and look at the top 25 at the beginning of the season for any season and look at it, what it looks like at the end of the season. I think we remember, what was it, in 92 when Alabama won the championship, weren't they ranked like 16th starting out, but they had a one first place vote. There was some prognosticator, I think, out in California that said, "I think this team is the number 1 team." Do you guys remember that?
I remember it. And
Yeah, I remember it.
they hassled him all year long and even hassled him all the way up to the Miami game until it finished and he was able to say, "Hey, I was right the whole time."
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
another example of how they get these things wrong is when Alabama played Notre Dame in 2012. Alabama was ranked 2, and I think Notre Dame was ranked number 1, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, Notre Dame bias. We
Yeah,
all
Yeah,
know,
but
they
sadly, we all know that exists.
and they're going to get
yeah,
in whether they have 3 losses or 4, probably.
and for the younger people that are out there, they don't understand that bias has existed for decades. We're old enough to remember back in the early 70s. Well, Chris may not be able to remember back in the early 70s, but Kevin and I sure remember when NBC would broadcast the games and you'd have Alabama versus Notre Dame with Coach Bryant down there, and Ara Parseghian was the one of the guys calling the game with Alabama versus Notre Dame. Unfortunately, Coach Bryant played Notre Dame 4 times and lost, but it is interesting that they had Ara Parseghian as the commentator, and of course, even back then, Notre Dame had that contract with NBC to broadcast all of their games, so it was a unique time. Uh, what about Ty Simpson and the Heisman hunt? How do you think he stacks up against the other potential candidates out there?
I'd say you'd have to first look at what they hyped at the beginning of the season, who was going to win the Heisman, and where are those guys now? They're not even in the picture. Ty Simpson wasn't in the picture, and they jump on who they jump on, and they're pushing the Oregon quarterback hard. And since last week, they're trying to put Pavia up there as the front runner. Where if you take what he means to his team, he fits the Heisman mantra. And Ty Simpson's just playing solid football, and uh, Bama's never been much of a Heisman hype team.
Chris?
Yeah, that's a good take. Um, my thought is the same as basically the playoff rankings. It doesn't really much matter at this point, because they've all still got a few games left and they can throw it away at any time. All it takes is one bad game to go out of that top 10. And unfortunately, we've got an offense right now that is heavily dependent on Ty Simpson doing well. If he has a bad game, our team stands a good chance of losing one of these last games. And unfortunately, I think the state of college football today is that anybody can win any particular Saturday, but anybody can lose any particular Saturday just as easily. It's turned into pro football, unfortunately.
You know, speaking about our quarterback situation, we may have the two best backup quarterbacks in the nation, and they're really not getting that opportunity to play. I believe that if something injury wise were to happen to Ty Simpson, we've got two backups that I think are prepared. You know, you got a 6'6" guy with a strong arm, and you got a 6'4" guy that's very talented arm and feet.
Yeah, I think with them, it's they got the talent. Are they at the point where they can quickly process and make decisions like Ty Simpson does? I think we've got better athletes at the backup position, especially with arm strength. We definitely got some taller guys, but it's the being able to process and put things together based on the offense that we have. A lot of people were calling, why wasn't Ty Simpson playing last year over Jalen Milroe? And I don't know what the practices were like. Was he even being given reps with the ones and put under duress in practice to see how quickly he could process and play the game? It put Coach Saban that last year he was there in a difficult position with NIL and the locker room and all. And I think Kevin, you mentioned it. If he'd have benched Milroe, the team probably would have bailed on him.
Yeah, they probably would have bailed for one game until they saw somebody else was better. But, you know, I have my knocks on Coach Saban that I didn't like during his tenure because once you get used to winning, you want to win it all. And he had the team to win it all, but he coached to lose at times. And he would coach players into bad situations. And I think that South Florida game was an example of that. That he wanted to teach Milroe a lesson, and he wanted to teach the whole team a lesson by putting our backup quarterbacks into bad situations and bad play calling. My thoughts.
Chris?
Well, as far as last year is concerned, I think that DeBoer felt like he owed Jalen Milroe the starting job because I believe Milroe helped to keep the roster together as much as possible after Saban left. Uh, I think Milroe kind of was an early adopter for DeBoer. He kind of I don't know led the charge as far as keeping guys around, and when that ended, I think DeBoer felt a little bit more free to make roster changes as he sees fit. Whether he's right or wrong about Milroe, I just think that was his underlying reason. Because if you remember, there were several games where it was just hard to watch. Milroe was digging a deeper and deeper hole, and everybody watching kept saying, the backups can't be worse than this. The Oklahoma game is one I'm thinking of, and the bowl game is another. But I think that DeBoer, felt some responsibility to Milroe for how he helped keep the roster together.
Yeah, I think so too. I think with the Oklahoma game and definitely with the game in the bowl game, I think it was against Michigan. I think we started seeing some glimpses of some issues, some cracks in the surface with Milroe. Was it the Michigan game or the Oklahoma game that he was doing, TikTok or Snapchat videos, 30 minutes or an hour before kickoff out in
That
front of
was
the
the bowl
stadium,
game.
the bowl game? Yeah, that tells me he's not focused enough. I was surprised that he's made a roster as a quarterback in the NFL. I don't know how much he's going to get to play. I doubt very seriously you're going to see him at Seattle next year. I think somebody may pick him up to do something else. What do you guys think?
Well, he's got a big arm, but his intermediate passing has never been good. I mean, he just he has the maybe the short game and the running game for sure, but I just don't see that translating into the NFL very well.
Oh,
You
he's
think he's fast enough for the NFL?
Oh yeah, I think
oh,
he's fast enough, and he's got the size. I just don't think that he's got the accuracy, unless he's improved a lot since he was here.
I, I felt the same way about Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't give you a nickel for the guy in the NFL.
Yeah.
And his first year in the NFL went the way I expected. And then whatever coaching or training he got to be a quarterback, second year, he plays like an NFL. Then he wins the Super Bowl, but he started this year off back into a mediocre quarterback. And when the press clippings and TV prognosticators started knocking on him that he's not passing, he's not playing this, he's not playing that, last two games, he's played like a top NFL quarterback again.
Yeah, but Hurts also had a year at Oklahoma getting some quarterback training.
Well, I think he got quarterback training outside of Oklahoma. Didn't he go to some quarterback guru or something and work? Because his whole the way he took snaps, where he kind of crouches down and stuff. He wasn't doing that at Alabama. He just kind of took the snap, and he was probably I think he was a better Jalen Milroe. Tua was the more accurate passer and probably had better decision making skills. Um, it almost makes you wonder what was going on in practice that Saban finally flipped the switch in the national championship game and said, got to put Tua in there. He's playing better. He's a better quarterback. He had to have told him he's the better option that we've got right now. And I admire Jalen Milroe Jalen Hurts for taking that, for agreeing with it. He seemed to be genuinely happy for Tua's success. But yeah, he went to a pass happy Oklahoma team, which gave him the chance to throw a lot of deep balls against weaker defenses.
Yeah, I think it
Well, let's
gave
talk a little
him.
bit about what's going on here. With games we got today. We've got an interim coach led Penn State team against the number one team of Ohio State. That's going to kick off here in about an hour and a half. Is this something where Penn State can the players you think are motivated enough to leave it all on the field, playing at Ohio State? Any chance of an upset here? Ohio State is a 18.5 point favorite. The over and under is 44.5.
I'd say bet the money on Ohio State. Ohio State likes to destroy mediocre teams so they look good on the stat sheet. And probably most of your players at Penn State are looking in the transfer portal and are getting phone calls, and their uncles and their agents are marketing them for high dollars.
Yeah, Ohio State wins the games they're supposed to win this year, and I think they're just the more talented team at this point. Like Kevin said, I think Penn State's checked out at this point. I would bet the Ohio State line and probably then some, and probably take the under.
Okay, so you think Ohio State? You think they shut them out?
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't.
Okay.
It's a pretty good possibility.
I mean, I'd like to see it'd be interesting. I think probably by the half, you might see a closer game than people were expecting. I think that some of the players on Penn State, especially the ones with big NIL contracts, this is an opportunity to get some things on tape. I just wonder how many of those players up there, their hearts in the university that they're playing for, that jersey on the chest. That's one of the problems I thought of last year. I think you had a lot of players, especially Coach Saban's last year under NIL and last year with DeBoer's first year. I just didn't feel that sense of pride that, man, I can't believe I'm playing at the University of Alabama. It was more about a marketing scheme and how much money you can generate. And I think you're going to see more players opt out of jumping into the NFL draft, even though they might be eligible to get in as a second, third, maybe fourth round player. But if they're not getting first round, why go and risk not even being able to play anymore and give up your eligibility when you can stay in college and make $1 or $2 million a year?
Well, dollars
All
is
right,
the driving force
go
for
ahead.
sure. The dollar value is the driving force. That's the reason Pavia wants to stay another year. He knows he's not an NFL quarterback, and he's making somewhere between $3 to $7 million, depending on who you listen to.
Yeah, I jokingly said something online. Who's the guy that played for Georgia that was a commentator on ESPN? They let him go last year. Uh, Dark-headed kid. I think he played linebacker at Georgia.
Yeah,
Pollock.
Um,
Pollock.
Pollock.
yeah, Pollock. Yeah, Pollock was on there, and he had his Heisman rankings. Of course, he had Ty Simpson #1. He didn't have Pavia on his list. And I said, "Do you think if you were still at ESPN, they would force you to put Pavia in your top five?" And I never got an answer back. I didn't expect an answer back, but I would almost bet you there's some type of marketing scheme that ESPN was dipping their toe into with Pavia. I don't see as much, talk about Pavia right now as I did the last couple of weeks, but clearly somebody in marketing said, "Hey, this guy is, you know, he's getting some press. He's getting, hateful and loving attention from the fan base. We need to tap into this as well." And I think they tried to put their thumb on the scale a little bit. I don't think Pavia's not the Heisman Trophy is for the best player in college football. It's not for the best player, how you elevate your team. I mean, we've had Heisman Trophy winners on teams with losing seasons win it. I think it was at Notre Dame, wasn't oh, what was his name? Was it Paul Horning? Somebody at Notre Dame won the. I think he won the Heisman Trophy with a losing season. All right, next game we got. Speaking of Pavia, you got #9 Vanderbilt playing at #20 Texas. You got a guy that some of the media is pushing with Pavia as a Heisman Trophy contender. And you got the odds-on preseason favorite for the Heisman Trophy and Arch Manning at Texas. The line is Texas at Texas, 3.5 point favorite. The over and under 46.5. Doesn't sound like either team's going to play defense in that game. What are your thoughts on
The
that?
the question I think that's relevant right now is Arch Manning going to be playing today? I don't know. I heard that he's been back at practice, so I assume that means he's out of concussion protocol and available to play. But the backup kind of looked all right last week. I'm interested to see the comparison uh, between playing Vandy like we did to see how Texas stacks up against Alabama versus Vandy. I kind of expect it to be a close game. I think Texas should pull it off at home, uh, but it ought to be an interest. This is the most interesting game for me to see this week. I think, and I think it's an 11 o'clock game, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I think that one of the keys for Pavia is to have a big nose tackle, somebody that it takes two to stop coming up the middle, clogs up the middle, and then having a speed rusher from the side disrupt his pocket, block up his throwing lane in the middle where he can't see over, and he has to move, and he's going to move into opportunities to be sacked. I think Alabama was able to do that with a big nose tackle and some pretty good edge rushers. I think that's his weakness.
Yeah, you got to seal the
Yeah.
edge on a running quarterback like that.
Talking about sacks. Saban wasn't a big believer in sacks. He was a big believer in affecting the quarterback. He'd rather you chase him around and force him to make bad decisions than just to tackle him for a loss. Um, Teams found out that, well, heck, what was it? Georgia found out when they tackled Tua, when it was when he lost yardage in the national championship game, just gave him a longer throwing path to throw to Devontae Smith. I think it's going to stay close. I hope Arch plays. I want to see the comparison between the two. The concussion protocol thing, I'm amazed at how quickly people are getting out of it. Heck, in youth league football and high school football down here, if you get diagnosed with a concussion, at a minimum, you can't play for 2 weeks. Whether you seem to be fine or not, you can't play. So that'll be interesting. There's another game at 11, I think, really going to be interesting. And I think there's a chance for an upset here. And that's number 10, Miami at SMU. Miami is a 9.5 point favorite. Over and under is 50.5. I I think SMU's got a chance in this game.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes, there's a chance.
Yeah.
Got it, Chris.
Well, Miami's looked good and they've looked bad this year. I kind of expect them to look good today and probably cover. Uh, I
I agree
don't
with
have
Chris.
any. Go ahead.
I agree
You're
with
not going to
Chris
say
on
which,
that.
Chris?
I agree with Chris Allen that
Okay.
SMU has followed the same pattern this year. Looked good and looked bad, and
Yeah.
I'd go with Miami today.
All right. Let me look at some others. There's if
Ole
there's any
Miss,
others for
South Carolina is a good one.
yeah. Let me go down through. Here's an interesting one. Duke and Clemson. Clemson is a 3.5 point favorite. I mean Duke. Clemson is a 3.5 point favorite at home versus Duke. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't imagine Clemson would cut bait with Dabo, who's won them, 2 national championships, both against Nick Saban, that he can't figure out a way to right the ship there. I think he's still there next season, but I think next season, if it plays out like this, he's not there after that.
I think that you're probably correct on that they won't, but there will be some coordinator changes. Probably somebody offensive minded. Could be a
Mm-hmm.
coach in waiting type hire, or just something to pump the team up to let Dabo go out on a high note.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a big change in the Fighting Dabo Sweeneys since Bruce Venables left. Um, I don't know if that's just a coincidence or what, but I
I mean,
expect.
Brent Venables,
Yeah,
No,
that's what I
his
mean.
brother, Bruce. He was a
Brent
big
Bruce.
fan.
Venables.
Yeah, yeah,
Brent Venables. I expect. I expect them to get right today. I don't think. I think they'll cover.
I agree.
Uh, all right, at 2:30, we got a couple of games here that are interesting. The first is number 2, Indiana at Maryland. Indiana is a 21.5 point favorite. Over and under is 50.5. Maryland, well, I mean, they don't have a Tonga Valoa as quarterback anymore, but in the past, they've come up and upset some people. Any chance that Maryland, catches Indiana sleeping?
Mm,
As far as Indiana goes, they've played Oregon, and that's about all they've played. Not saying that they're not a good team, but Maryland started off hot, and they have the potential. Anybody can bust a play here and there, and you're playing at home. Could be close, could be a massive blowout.
Yeah. Chris?
Yeah, I think. Like Kevin said, Maryland's looked pretty good at times, certainly in the early parts of the season. I think that line's too big. I'd go with Maryland, but I think Indiana wins it,
But not by 3 touchdowns.
not by 3 touchdowns,
Yeah,
not
a
at
little
home.
uh, a little nugget for the people out there that aren't diehard Alabama fans like us. I even questioned Mark uh, about this. I said, "Guess who coached Julio Jones his first season in Alabama?" And he didn't know, and it was the head coach
Fox.
at Indiana.
Oh,
Yeah, And the coach at Miami, was it Cristobal? Yeah,
Mario.
Cristobal was on. Yeah, Cristobal was on the staff at Alabama. I thought was kind of funny. I think I told you guys about this when the boys were at Nick Saban's football camp. I was trying to get some pictures of either Josh or Noah, and Cristobal was kind of walking around standing in the way. And I go, "Hey, buddy, I'm trying to get pictures of my kid," and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." He was really apologetic. I thought it was kind of funny. They think he's this big, hardcore, tough guy.
Well, he shouldn't have
Here's
been
one.
standing there.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Next game we got at 2:30. Number 5 Georgia at Florida. Georgia is a 7.5 point favorite, which means they're probably a 10.5 point favorite, given the home field advantage that Florida is supposed to have. Over and under is 50.5. I don't think I can't see. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I see more than 50 points scored at this game in this game. But I do think Georgia covers the spread.
It's a rivalry game, so anything can happen. And you got an interim coach, but a really good defense on Florida, and a hyped quarterback that I never believed in for Florida. And Georgia's just squeeze you in the first half and really squeeze you and win in the second half. So I wouldn't expect any different. Could be close game, and Georgia just pulls it out the way they've done all year.
Yeah, Kevin's right on it. I think Kirby Smart is probably the best halftime adjusting coach out there, certainly in the SEC. And if they don't dominate the first half, they will dominate the second half down there. Um, I think I think Georgia runs away with it at the end.
Yeah, it's if Kirby ever figures out how to win the first half, I think Georgia will be a powerhouse again. Um, what have they played Alabama 9 times since Kirby's been there? How many of those have they won?
One.
One, I believe.
Yeah, that was the national championship game. And next game we got, and I I hate this team. I've told you this, guys. I told people this. I hate them with a passion. I hope in every sport, especially football, they lose every game forever. That is the number 12 Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus Boston College. Notre Dame's a 30.5 point favorite with an over and under of 55.5. It's always a good Saturday when Auburn loses, Tennessee loses, and Notre Dame loses. That to me, that's the trifecta. I can't stand Notre Dame. I can't stand the height. I don't think they have any business being at number 12. You can't play some of the cupcake schedules that they play and then turn around and go out there. And I think it should have been evident to everybody when Alabama played them in 2012 and just embarrassed them. And I think Kevin mentioned, before the game even started, they lost that game in the tunnel. Just looking at the players, it was a coach back then.
Ryan Kelly.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? You think Notre Dame covers the 30.5 point spread against Boston College with an over and under of 50.5?
I think Doug Flutie comes up big this game.
Wins?
That's the last time I
Great
watched
throwback.
Boston College play any kind of football. So I assume Notre Dame will take care of business, but who knows?
Yeah, Notre Dame's playing for their inclusion into the 12-team playoff, so they have to win by large margins the rest of the way out to cover their bad 2 losses. So they will play to blow them out.
All right, you got unranked teams at 3 o'clock. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Arkansas is a 5.5 point favorite, over and under 65.5. I think State wins this game. State can play some ball.
Yeah, Mississippi State's looked pretty good at times this year. They played Texas pretty tight for the most part until the very end there.
They
Um,
started celebrating a little too early.
yeah, kind of like South Carolina. Um, I think Mississippi State wins it.
Over and under 65 and a half,
I'd
Kevin.
take the under.
They got two explosive quarterbacks at times, and both teams have been in every game that they've played, and it'd be a coin flip at the end, I think.
Yeah, that's the other thing is Petrino may be coaching for a job.
Very
Yeah,
true.
the only team that he just couldn't beat when he was at Arkansas was Alabama. They would be hyped, they would win games decisively, and then Nick Saban would go in there and Alabama would just humiliate Arkansas. It wasn't the close games under the right reverend when he was coaching there when he had that superstar quarterback. I mean, running back. Um, yeah, I think State wins this game. I like State to cover. To I don't know about the over under, but I do like State to win that. Now we got two teams here, and I'm not sure which one I want to. I guess I know who I want to pull for. You got Oklahoma at Tennessee. Oklahoma's ranked 18th. Tennessee's ranked 14th. It's at 6:30. Tennessee's a 2.5 point favorite with an over and under of 55 and a half. I kind of want Oklahoma to win it. I want Oklahoma to move up in the rankings so when Alabama plays them the week after LSU, that we can make a statement.
Well, I'm not a fan of either team winning, but it really doesn't matter to me which one wins. It really doesn't have much of a bearing on our game with Oklahoma or what we did at play in Tennessee. But Tennessee at home, they'll go after uh, matchups and could possibly blow Oklahoma out, which I would like to see Oklahoma blown out of the stadium before we play them, make them so disheartened that we beat up on them ourselves.
Yeah, I guess it would improve our strength of schedule if Tennessee went in there and blew out Oklahoma and they say, well, look at there, Alabama just beat on their schedule, they beat Tennessee, might move up close to the top 10. Uh, I don't know if they're going to play their way into a college football playoff. I think those at-large teams are going to get the buys over that. Um, over and under 55 and a half. I don't know. That's a lot of points.
Yeah, give
Let's
me the
see
low
what else
down
we got.
dirty snitches to win big on that one. I think they may score 55 points themselves.
Plus,
All right.
Heupel could have Oklahoma come offer him the $12 million a year to come to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They could. Uh, Kentucky at Auburn, 6:30. This is our last game to talk about. Stoop are both these coaches playing for their jobs?
I think both of them have already lost their jobs. They're just playing out the year. And Auburn has benched Arnold and put the other quarterback in. So it'll be a different wrinkle. No tape for Kentucky to watch. But Kentucky does have the potential to step up and win a game that they're not supposed to. But my thoughts, I wish Auburn would lose every game they play.
I think you
Yeah,
got a bunch of Auburn fans that are pulling for Kentucky, to be honest.
yeah, it's uh
And
The
probably all the Alabama fans pulling for Auburn in a weird
yeah,
shift.
the line's Auburn 10.5 at home with an over and under of 45.5. I don't know. Has Auburn scored a bunch of points this year in any game?
They have not, but the new quarterback in be coached different and play different. This could be their game to score a bunch of points at home.
All
Yeah,
right.
weird
Well,
things happen there.
yeah, that's a spooky stadium. Some of the things I think they do on their own. You remember the one game where Alabama played down there and we were slipping and sliding all over the field. And I think somebody turned the sprinklers on the night before, and the Auburn players put the longer cleats on in the first half. And I think our players changed shoes at the half and then turned the game around. I think that's
Yeah,
when
is that
Mark
the one
Ingram
that Bryce Young brought him back?
was it Bryce Young?
I feel
I,
like
I
it
tell
was
you what,
Bryce Young.
technique wise, I went back and watched some of Bryce Young, with him being a smaller guy, his footwork and the way he positioned his body and moved around in the pocket and stuff. I think he was, as far as technical skills and reading the field and making quick decisions, I think he was a better quarterback than Tua or Jalen Hurts.
Well, he had an arm. He's got an NFL arm because he can throw the ball side armed, over, under. He can flip it. Uh, he can cross body, going out of bounds, throw it a long way across the field. He's got a gifted arm. And being a smaller guy, it helps when you can have that arm and that accuracy to, no matter where your hand position is, you put the ball where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think
All right.
there are some Alabama receivers that would categorize Bryce Young as the best that we've ever had.
Yeah, I mean, I might say if you go back and watch some Kenny Stabler, that might change your mind on that.
Who?
Uh, All right. So Alabama's got a bye week, and then they come back and play an LSU team with a new coach. And is LSU going to be fired up for this game and these players playing for the jersey, or are they playing for NIL, or have they checked out and their agents are already talking about where they're going to transfer to?
I think there's some scuttlebutt that Brian Kelly was very unpopular with the players, and you may see a little bit more effort out of them for this interim coach. The big problem I think they've got there is disarray in the program in general. Um, I don't know who's in charge down there, but they're making some really silly looking decisions. I I have a question for you guys. Out of all the openings for coaches right now, which opening would you say is the best looking job?
I'd say
Kevin?
I'd say LSU, you know, with or without coaching, they get a top five recruiting class every year since the late 80s. I mean, there's a lot of talent in LSU. They're the only big school in the state of Louisiana, and they grab that talent. And it took Saban being there to figure out how to use the talent, but they have maintained that top five recruiting almost every year. You just put the right coach in there, embrace the culture, the talent is there. Like Chris Allen said, there's a very talented roster on that side of the ball that could really step up and play next week.
Does
Chris had a
recruiting
great
even
Chris
matter
had a great
anymore?
comment. Do what?
Does recruiting really even matter anymore with the NIL
Oh,
and
because you go to the portal.
portal?
Yes, it does matter. I kind of like DeBoer's style this year. Hey, I'm playing everybody. You know, you got uh, multiple freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors. They're all on the field playing. He's trying to make it three deep at every position. He does it on the offensive line, uh, running backs. I think those things matter in the NIL era to where you're coming to a team and you think that, well, I'm a $6 million guy. I'm going to play every down. Not if you stink on the field. He'll he'll replace you. And hey, come to Alabama, you play immediately. You don't have to sit and wait like you had to do with Saban.
Yeah, Saban used to rotate them in, and whoever got hot stayed in and kept playing. Chris came up, he and I were talking earlier this week. He came up with a great comment about this. Somebody posted out there. Sources have told me that Nick Saban flew down to Baton Rouge, talked with them. They offered him $20 million a year for 3 years to get the program straightened back out, and that he could be the athletic director after the 3 years and take over down there. And Chris had a great comment about what would change at the University of Alabama if that were to ever happen.
Oh, you want me to repeat it?
Yeah.
I think they would unname Saban Field quicker than you could run a ball down the field. There's no way that we would play LSU on Saban Field with Saban as the coach. And then the next thing you'd see is just like Saddam Hussein's statue came down, you'd have some redneck with the toe strap around Nick Saban's statue yanking it down University Boulevard. I don't think
What do you
that'd go
think,
over
Kevin?
well.
I could care less what he does. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like he's coaching Alabama's team. I would say that he's probably hindered more for DeBoer than he's helped him. And
I don't think this year he has. I think last year he did. I think the shadow was a bit much.
well, you know, they started out the year 50-50, half run, half pass, even though the run still hasn't done what it's supposed to do. And
You know, that
that's a
first year,
Saban hallmark.
yeah, that first year under DeBoer, we were at the game. You were at the game. I was at the game. I was sitting up in the stands with Tony Perkins, Ray Perkins' son, and I watched that first half against Georgia. What do you think was going through Saban's mind when he's looking at DeBoer come out in his first season and boat race Georgia in the first half? Do you think he said, Kirby will figure this out and it'll get closer in the second half? Or was he like, dang? Because I had Ohio State fans texting me after the first half saying, it looks like Nick Saban was holding the team back.
Yeah, I don't think Saban's mind works that way.
No.
He you know, anytime that we won, anytime we lost, it was always the same. And he doesn't like stupid questions or stupid comments. And he'd make you be. He'd show how ignorant you are if you said something along that line.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah, I think so too.
Saban thinks that Saban can always do better than anybody else.
Confidence is good, especially if you've got the knowledge, skills, and abilities to back it up. It's one of the things I tell people when they ask me for advice about protective measures for themselves and their family. I just tell them the two good characteristics that you can try to instill in your children is to teach them to exercise to get strong, to get as strong as possible. And the second is how to fight. Because if you know how to fight, not box, not jujitsu, not wrestling, all that, but how to fight, it you may need that to protect yourself or protect others, may need to defend your life or the lives of others with that. But it also gives you some confidence that kind of helps you in other areas in your life. You tend to walk a little, with your back and chest out, with your back up and your chest out. You tend to have a lot more confidence in other areas of your life if you think you can protect yourself.
Thought Samuel Colt took care of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
A
he kind
great
of equalized
equalizer.
things there. Yeah, it is an equalizer. Yeah, you don't want to bring a knife to a gunfight. Uh, all right. Well, this has been it turned out to be better than even I anticipated. I knew it was going to be good because I know what we talk about, uh, when we're just shooting the breeze and stuff. And we ought to have something political wise at some point to pull up. But hopefully, the people enjoyed listening in to the banner with me and my brothers here, my brother-in-law and my brother. And it gives a good chance for people to see who's behind the scenes and stuff. Uh, it's you guys got any parting thoughts that you want to put out there sports wise? What are you planning today? Kevin, what do you have on the grill?
Uh, Today is clean out the garage day, so I'm probably not grilling anything. I'm just going to throw a big pile of stuff out on the street for the city to pick up.
Chris, what you got planned for today?
I don't know. I hadn't considered grilling today. Maybe some burgers. Um, I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to be able to watch football in the current setup. I've got YouTube TV,
Uh-oh.
and I believe that they're in some sort of dispute with Disney, and I may have to find another way to watch games today.
Well, you have to
Well,
do
you
have to
can.
do what they're asking you to do. Pay for the ESPN app.
Yeah, that's my last alternative.
I'll give you some. I know you had Fubo before, and that's what I've got. Fubo, it doesn't cost me any more to have ESPN Unlimited on the app. As long
Yeah,
as you've got Fubo and they broadcast ESPN, I put ESPN Unlimited. That's how we were able to watch Josh when he was doing soccer officiating at some of these games that were broadcast on, SEC Network 2 that wasn't on the regular stream. You could watch it there. But I mean, if I can remember what our password is, you can try to use ours if you want to
that's
watch.
highly
What are your
illegal. I would never do something like that. We'll talk later.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Um, what's Fubo costing you these days?
I think it's $108 a month. I
Yeah,
have the I have the second tier up package, not the basic package. I have the second tier package. It started out when we first got it, it was around $89 a month, and now it's 108.
yeah, that's everything creeps these days. It's all creeping upwards.
Well, you can
My
always put the digital antenna out and pick up some games.
Yeah, there you
The
go. Maybe that's the best way.
The
the
that's the
ABC ESPN game.
that's the beauty of uh, ESPN ABC. The digital antenna gives you the ABC channel for free. You can
Yes.
watch SEC all the best SEC games all day long for free.
Yep, good
Yeah,
point.
let me see who's playing where. You got Vanderbilt in Texas is on ABC.
The 11 o'clock game will be on ABC. The 2:30 game
Yeah.
will be on ABC, and the 6:30 game will be on. The best games
Yeah,
will be on the
yeah.
highlights.
So
2:30 game would be Georgia and Florida.
so
And
Vandy in
then
Texas is the Jefferson Pilot game today, huh?
Old
oh
school.
maybe and then in the evening you got Oklahoma and Tennessee. So yeah, I put the digital antenna up. You're gonna catch some good games, and then you can just, watch the where you can't watch the game, but you can watch the game cast where they give you the stats on other games while you're watching those.
Yeah. What I do like about YouTube TV is you've got the multi view. You can watch 4 games at once, which
You got
is
multi-view with Fubo.
do you?
Yep.
I did not have that when I was on Fubo.
Yep.
Fubo really disappointed me. It was the quality was not good here.
Now, what I do like, and this is what we've done when we go over to Jake, Sarah Grace's, and Sutton Grace's, is while you're watching the like the ABC or the ESPN broadcast, it gives you the option to switch over to the 4K broadcast. And if you do the 4K broadcast, you don't have any commercial breaks. You see the stadium and you hear everything in the stadium when the regular network station is breaking away from the game to do their commercial stuff. So we were watching Alabama and we could hear Dixieland Delight, all that other stuff going on in the stadium from the 4K cameras.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would go with the digital. You got a digital antenna at home?
No.
You
They
can
don't
get you,
cost much. I got
yeah,
one here
about
in the office.
yeah, they're about 50 but 59.99 or something. You can get a lot of home shopping and your local channels.
I think the one I bought at Walmart, and it's just stuck up in the window here. It's one of those little flat panel things. It was, I don't think it was more than 10, $15. Hooks in with a coaxial cable to the back of your TV, prop it up on as long as you got good visual of the sky, you can get a pretty good picture.
Get a really good picture.
Yeah. All right. Well, that has been the Blunt Force Sports edition. That we didn't talk about politics or anything like that. I'm going to continue to do some politics stuff. I did a quick thing on the First Amendment. I need to get a little more polished in that so that it's a little more engaging. I just kind of riffed on my thoughts on the First Amendment, and I'm trying to goad some people into getting on there and debating with me, and we'll see how that plays out. But man, I appreciate you guys coming on, Chris. I appreciate what you do. Yeah, I have the ability with Restream of throwing stuff up, but man, I can tell you, and I've talked to other people that I've had on my podcast and have been on the radio with me, like Chad Prather and Chris Salcedo and all that. It is so much easier to focus on what you're doing when you have a producer handling all the stuff in the background. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate Kevin coming on with us today to chat. I know he's busy with the things he's got going on. I'm going to get out and change out the rotors on the front of my truck after I get a workout. And then I'm picking up my new Bridgestone tires this Thursday. And we'll see how all that goes. And I did order, I can't remember if I told Kevin or not. I told you I ordered the seat for my truck. So it's the OEM, leather, looks exactly like the seat bottom, and I got the cushion and stuff. And according to the video, that should take me about an hour. You got to pull the entire seat out to change everything out. But when you do, it's going to be probably ride like a brand new truck again.
Well, in the words
Which,
of Mark Levin, Mr. Producer, I appreciate the work you do also.
yeah.
I
All right,
appreciate
guys. Well,
y'all.
Chris, take us out. I got to go. I'm going to get a little something in my belly, a small snack or something, and then get ready to head out. But I appreciate Kevin in the middle frame there. It's my baby brother, Kevin Hinkle. He's over in the Holy Lands right now. Can't know if you can tell from the shot at his house, but he is at the center of the football universe in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You can walk a short distance from his house and see the stadium.
Looks
From
like a beautiful
from
day today.
It does. I can't believe he's not grilling. I got to introduce Kevin to Jim Verdi, he's the producer of the Vince show now, but he was the producer of the Dan Bongino show, and he and I have become friends. talking mostly about grilling and stuff. And Jim he's a competitive griller, but I'd love to see he and Kevin go toe to toe on barbecuing some chicken because he learned from the master how to barbecue chicken.
He learned from Kevin.
No, Kevin learned from the master how to barbecue chicken.
Jim
That was
Tillery
Jim
was the
Tillery.
Jim Tillery was the pork chop and leg quarter master.
I still
Gotcha.
remember going up to the cabin with that, the grating that you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, sitting up on cinder blocks with charcoal underneath it, and there's chicken leg quarters out there being cooked. And man, your stomach start growling and mouth start watering when you smell the stuff he did. I don't know how he did it. Never was dry or anything. Just really good chicken leg quarters.
Mop, 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 mop.
Yeah.
Lots of mopping.
All right, guys. Well, Chris, take us out of here. Appreciate everybody tuning in to the Blunt Force Conservative podcast, where we're talking sports today. And you kind of hear some of the things that we kick around in the background when we're talking about football. And really appreciate you guys coming on and doing this. Glad we could get together and do this. Hopefully, I think Chris and Taffy and Cooper are heading this way for Thanksgiving. Hopefully, Kevin and Vanessa will be able to head over here for Thanksgiving. We can have a good time. Y'all got to meet your new niece, your great niece, Sutton. She's growing like a weed. She was 9 pounds 7 ounces at birth 6 weeks ago. Now she's 11 pounds 8 ounces, and just amazing.
Good deal. Enjoyed it, guys.
All right, see y'all later. Love you like a brother.
Love you like a brother.